morning. It is time to get up with the Bucks on the brink as the Stars sit. Milwaukee moves one win away from the finals. We'll start there. Then, not all the news is good in Wisconsin. You will hear two words that tell you just how bad things have gotten between Aaron and the Packers. And then, the man in the middle of the most famous NCAA case of them all wants his career back. The question is, will he get it? We'll go in search of that answer and many more as we get up with you on this Friday, starting right now. Greeny from the Seaport, delighted you are there. Delighted the football crew that we have put together is ready to go today. Take a look. Can't wait to hear from Bart Scott, Mike T. Jeremy Fowler's got the insight. Fascinating day in Green Bay. We'll tell you why in a moment, but that's not the Wisconsin stop we make first. Let's go to the game of the night. Hawks, Bucks, Game 5, Eastern Conference Finals, all even up at 2. Giannis ruled out Thursday. Trae Young, who missed Game 4, tried to give it a go pregame, but look at the face, the wincing in pain. He, too, would be ruled out, and it would become the Brook Lopez show. 14 of 18. From the floor for the big fella. Bucks take a 12-point third quarter lead. Later in the third, Bucks up 12. They got balanced scoring. Bobby Portis knocking down a jumper. He had 22. Bucks by 13 after 3. Early fourth now. Bucks lead is 15. Chris Middleton doing his part over Cam Reddish. He had 26. Trae Young can only look on. A minute later, Bogdanovich guarded by Lopez. Get it out of here. Brook Lopez doing it at both ends. 4 blocks, 33 points for the big fella. 8 minutes to play now. Bucks up 14. That's Drew Holiday. He had 25. Bucks by 16. Under 2 minutes to play. Bucks putting it away. Holiday splitting the D. Bucks taking Game 5. 123, 112. Giannis loves it. The Bucks are on the brink.
And what was great about today is we were really all just basketball players playing together, both on offense and on defense. You know, we were playing off one another, making plays, making extra passes, and it was a lot of fun tonight.
All right, and the numbers, the story, Milwaukee's domination in the paint, outscoring Atlanta 66-36 inside. Brook Lopez had 26 of those on 13 of 14 shooting. He's the first player with 25 or more points in the paint on at least 90% shooting in the last 25 years. Let's bring in a guy who made the paint a comfortable place for a long time. That's Vince Carter. That's Brian Windhorst. Our basketball crew is up with us here early this morning. VC, I'll start with you. As we watched it again last night, a tough night, obviously. No Giannis, no Trae Young, a balanced attack for the Milwaukee Bucks. What was the key to their win?
Well, I have to say the key to the win were the bigs. And I have to say my rookie, Brook Lopez. I mean, he was phenomenal. It was like a proud big brother watching him go off like that. But, I mean, I think Drew Holiday set the tone from the first play of the game on the post up to the jump hook. Chris Middleton followed, and then Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez took over and dominated in the paint. And on the defensive end, Brook Lopez with 4 blocks just controlled the game from start to finish.
It was an interesting storyline, Windy, because we wondered, in the absence, each team, in the absence of the player who really makes everything else happen, what would the style be? And clearly, that's the point that Vince is making. The Bucks decided they were going to go out there and dominate physically, and they were able to do it.
You know, this is such a maddening team at times. They are one of the most dominating teams in the paint you will ever see, especially against a Hawks team that has just not proven that they can do it. And early in this series, the Bucks just killed them in there. Back in Game 2, the Bucks went 24 of 28 shooting in the paint. It's one of the most dominating performances I've ever seen. They come out in Game 5 in Atlanta, or in Game 4 in Atlanta, and shoot 3-pointers all day long. And it's like, why? Why do you shoot so many 3-pointers? And so without Giannis, they didn't have a choice. They had to focus on getting the offense where they could. They had over 25 points in the paint in the first quarter of this game, back up to 66 for the game. If they play this way and attack the paint this way, I don't see how they will not win this series. But I can't guarantee what they're going to do from 1 minute to the next, much less what's left in this series.
Well, and so Wendy, let's get... Yes, go ahead, VC.
I want to add to that. I hear people say that a lot about Brooks and why does he play outside. But think about this. I mean, I was fortunate enough to play in the era where they were too big and they figured it out. And the game today is spread out, and they feature one big in the paint. You want to feature obviously Giannis in the paint before you do Brook Lopez, but Brook Lopez at 7'1" can dominate down there, so you can live with both guys down there. But teams, nowadays they just try to figure, let me put one guy down there and spread the floor and give him space. So if you have Giannis, you want to give him space. I agree with you, Wendy. Why not put Brook Lopez in the post? Because he's going to demand a double team, because there's not many centers that can guard him down there when he plays like he played last night.
And so they're up 3-2, Wendy. Let's get to what I think everyone is really wondering. What do we know about the status of Giannis and Trae Young going forward in the series?
Well, as we saw a video of, Trae Young tried to go out there and warm up before the game and couldn't go. And the big issue from the video that I was watching was when he went to push off of that right foot. The exact same way he actually made the injury, pushing off of his right foot. And so, look, that this is killing him not to play. The guy is an ultimate competitor. Not only that, he's a killer on the road. The opportunity in a 2-2 series to play Game 5, if he couldn't use that leg to push off of, he can't be effective. So there is hope that, because he is improving from what I'm told, that he will be able to make it a go in Game 6. But we're just not going to know until you see how he feels. And this is not one of those things where you just stick a needle in there and play on it. You can't play without feeling. You can't play the way he plays without being able to cut both directions. It's a brutal situation for the Hawks. And with Giannis, I think the Bucks are still in euphoria land that he didn't tear ligaments in that knee, and that there's a possibility he could come back later in the playoffs. But he's obviously a further back on his recovery timeline than where Trae Young is.
Super quick, Vincent, and we'll have much more time to talk as the morning goes on. Can the Hawks win Game 6 if Trae Young can't play?
It's tough, but I tell you what, they know what it feels like, and they figured out the formula at home, how to play together. And they're going to need their guys, their role players, to be role players. I mean, Lou Williams, he didn't play well at all, and he was the key factor to the success of the Hawks at home. So they're going to need a lot. Clint Capella, they're going to need him to play a lot better defensively, first and foremost, to slow down Brook Lopez, particularly in the post. So it's a possibility, but it's nothing like having Trae Young on the floor.
And you see from Hembo there, the Hawks are 1-point favorite right now. Vegas hedging on the possibility of the Trae Young return. Guys, both of you, thank you. Stay close. Much more from you both as we continue in this.
Of 18 from the floor for Lopez, 123-112. It's a 3-2 series lead for Milwaukee. They can close it out Saturday in Atlanta in advance to the NBA Finals. It was a balanced breakfast for Milwaukee. 4 players putting up 20 points, led by Lopez's 33. They become the 4th team of the last 25 postseasons to have 4 20-point scorers multiple times in a single playoff run. Last team to do it, last year's Heat, and yeah, they went to the NBA Finals. But now it's Milwaukee, just a game away from getting back to that same title stage.
What was great about today is we were really all just basketball players playing together, both on offense and on defense. We were playing off one another, making plays, making extra passes, and it was a lot of fun tonight.
I just knew I had to be aggressive, and whatever that means, Giannis being out or not, I knew today I had to be aggressive, and I feel like the best way that I'm going to help my team is that being getting into the paint, penetrating, dishing out for threes and wide open looks.
It's a must win for us. It's a one-game season for us, so we know what we have to do. And, we got to get back home and get ourselves ready to take care of business at home.
All right, NBA analyst Vince Carter is with us this morning. And listen, Vince, how were the Bucks able to overcome the loss of not just a key contributor here, but a 2-time MVP in Giannis, and now take a 3-2 series lead?
Well, the Bucks needed and did what they needed to do. They needed their 2 best players, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, to ball out and be the best players on the floor. But the real story was Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis. The 2 of them combined for 55 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Yes, the 4 blocks were Lopez, but what they did in the paint established themselves. They just opened the floor and they beat the Hawks bigs. Well, the Hawks in general, they just beat them up on the glass, in the paint scoring. They got whatever they wanted. And, if you're the road team, you say, handle the first 5 minutes and get yourself back in the game. But the Hawks were really never able to really get close outside of 7 points. We know Bogdanovich had a great game, but they never got themselves back in it. It's because of Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis.
Yeah, Bogdanovich led the way for Atlanta with 28 points, but as you say, the size was the difference for Milwaukee, and Lopez certainly took advantage. As for this Atlanta side, now you've been in that uniform, but you've also been in this position before, facing elimination in the Eastern Conference Finals. Nate McMillan saying Trae Young will be another game-time decision for Saturday's Game 6. If you're young, you try to play through it with your season on the line.
Well, obviously all Hawks fans want Trae Young on the floor. It's all about his pain tolerance, what he can and can't handle. You put Trae out there and he's a liability and he hurts the team, then you say, hey, sit him down. But it is what it is. You're going to have to see how he feels game time. He made an effort. He tried his best, and you can see the grimace on his face, and he's just not comfortable. And if he's not going to help the team, sometimes you just have to put him on the sideline. But in an elimination game, I think he's going to try regardless.
Yeah, and maybe you give Milwaukee something to think about. Even if you're not 100%, you can almost be a decoy
Absolutely.
out there on the floor. We'll see. We'll get our answer on Saturday. Only 16% of teams ever to face a 3-2 deficit in this conference final stage have gone on to win that series. That's Vince Carter with the Insight for us on SportsCenter AM. And still ahead, there's also the injury on the Milwaukee bench. Will Giannis be able to go in Game 6? We're going to detail the necessary steps he'll have to go through to go ahead and get back on the floor.